Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back. So I've been getting a lot of requests for me to talk about the upcoming American elections, and yes, although I do pay attention to it, I just gotta say that I don't have a horse in this race, okay? I don't get to vote in this election because obviously I'm Canadian, and usually I tend to avoid talking about politics on this channel anyways because this is a finance channel, not a politics channel, and frankly I just don't want the comment section to break out into a bar fight. But I do have to admit that certain stocks will do well if Biden wins, and some stocks will do well if Trump wins. So I've seen a lot of videos where people suggest stocks that they might pick if they believe that Biden's going to win and stocks that they would pick if they believe that Trump is going to win. So I thought that this was a very interesting concept. So I'm going to make my own picks. So for the sake of time though, this is going to be a two-part series. So in today's video, we'll cover 3 stocks that I think will do well if Biden wins. And before you accuse me of being partisan or anything like that, let me just say that there will be a part 2 in which I'll talk about 3 stocks I think will do well if Trump wins. So look out for that video, which will be coming out very shortly after this one. And also, I do have to mention that I won't have time to do a full analysis just for the sake of conciseness on any of these stocks that I talk about today. And apologies in advance if I miss anything. But if you do want to see a full in-depth analysis on any one of these stocks, or if you want to talk about something that I missed potentially, be sure to comment down below and let me know down in the comments. And lastly, just as a disclaimer, I'm not providing you with financial advice in this video. I do have to tell you that these videos that I make, any video that I make is just my opinion only, is by no means a recommendation for you to buy any of these stocks or sell them or short them. And I don't think I have to mention that, you know, there is the possibility that I am wrong. I'm not a prophet, I'm not an oracle, I'm not always right? So yeah, there is the chance that my opinion is wrong, so please don't take any of what I say as financial advice. Anyways though, with that out of the way though, let's jump in. Quick reminder before we begin, if you're not already using Wealthsimple Trade, Canada's first and only commission-free trading platform, you can get $10 when you deposit and invest your first $100 if you sign up using the link down below in the description. Also, if you prefer to put your investment on autopilot with very low management fees, you can check out the link for Wealthsimple Invest down below, and the bonus for that is $50 when you deposit and invest your first $500. Full disclosure though, these are affiliate links, so you don't have to use them if you don't want to, but if you decide to do so, it will help me out, helps out this channel, and at no additional cost to you, and it would be greatly appreciated. Now back to the video. So first stock on this list is GrowGeneration, ticker symbol GRWG. And just to warn you, this stock is trading for a fairly high valuation right now. However, I think that there is good reason for this. So first of all, what does this company do? Well, GrowGeneration is a play on the MJ industry. And by MJ, sorry I have to use code words because YouTube doesn't like it when I say some words, but MJ, I mean like the devil's lettuce, you know, that thing that makes you really happy, that makes you want to munch down on chicken McNuggets. Yeah, like that's the MJ, like not Michael Jackson, although Jeremy from Financial Education likes to call it Michael Jackson, but like, yeah, like that thing, but not in the way that you might think. So GrowGeneration, through subsidiaries, owns and operates retail hydroponic organic gardening stores in the United States. It engages in the marketing and distribution of horticultural organics, lighting, and hydroponic products, including light fixtures, nutrients, seeds, growing media, and I'm not going to read all of them, but like it's just essentially everything that's associated with hydroponics and growing plants, essentially. So essentially they sell everything that you need to grow your perfect batch of MJ, and they actually cater to actual businesses that grow MJ for a living, right? So we're not talking about some guy growing MJ in their garage, although you can certainly use GrowGeneration products for those as well, but we are talking about actual like companies that do grow-ops that use GrowGeneration products. And the idea behind this is basically if the Democrats win, if Joe Biden wins, the federal MJ legalization process in the United States will become much more likely to happen, right? So it will definitely benefit the MJ industry. And if you're wondering why you should look into something like a GrowGeneration rather than just buying like MJ producers, well, a main problem that I feel like with MJ producers is number one, it's a highly competitive space, right? So it's an emerging industry and everyone's trying to make it big and everyone thinks that, you know, producing MJ is the way to go. However, at the end of the day, MJ is a commodity. So it's similar to any other farm product that you can buy in the sense of that, right? It's a commodity. So a commodity is basically something that's relatively the same everywhere. So for example, corn, potatoes, any like farm products, right? So if you think about it, buying like potatoes from a farm, like that's in your town, and buying potatoes from a farm that's like 3 towns over, they should be relatively the same product. What's an example of something that's not a commodity though? Well, if you think of, for example, an iPhone, right, which runs iOS, you have to buy an Apple product in order to get iOS on a smartphone. So that's a feature that kind of differentiates iPhones away from all the other smartphones that are available. So that is an example of something that gives you a unique competitive advantage to some people, at least. Some people prefer iOS over Android, let's say. So that differentiates iPhones from your competitors. If you're selling potatoes though, it's harder to differentiate, right? So same is relatively true for MJ. And yes, I know you can differentiate MJ with like marketing or with different strains and whatnot. But at the end of the day, there's only so much you can do, right? It's hard to make like an MJ strain that is clearly 10 times better than the rest of the competition, right? It's a very hard thing to do. So I think that if you're playing stocks that are involved in like supplying the MJ producers rather than playing the MJ producers themselves, I think that it might be a better way to play the growth of the MJ industry. And another bonus advantage might be that if for whatever reason legalization is delayed, well, if you're a plant growing equipment supplier, you can easily pivot to other customers potentially, right? So I'm talking about actual farmers that grow food like potatoes and corn or whatever, because much of the same equipment used to grow MJ could also be suitable to grow other things. And one particular reason why I like Grow Generation in particular though is that the company has been putting up some insane, growth. So if you look at the year-over-year revenue growth for this company, we're sitting at a whopping 147% growth in revenue, which is significantly higher than all the other major MJ producers like Aurora or Canopy. And not to mention that Grow Generation is at a point where I think that they can be consistently profitable as they were in the last quarter. And once again, this is something that cannot be said for MJ producers like Aurora or Canopy, who's hemorrhaging cash. And if you look at the expectations for Grow Generation for the future, analysts are expecting the company to grow revenues another almost 50% next year. So clearly, it seems like Wall Street absolutely loves this stock and really believes in it. Although I should warn you once again that the valuation of this company is very high, as the stock has already skyrocketed by more than 300% this year and now trades at a forward PE of over 50. However, I do think that so far the company is doing everything right, and if Biden wins, well, that's even more good news for the company. So that's Grow Generation. So anyways, next stock on the list is Alibaba, ticker symbol BABA. And you guys have already probably heard of what Alibaba is. Basically, it's been referred to as the Amazon of China, right? So Alibaba is a giant e-commerce company and tech company in China. And not only do they own Alibaba.com, which is one of their biggest e-commerce platforms, they also own other sites like Taobao, Tmall, AliExpress, and they also have their hands on cloud computing with Ali Cloud. They have mobile cashless payments with Alipay, and they have a huge stake in digital media networks and just advertising businesses in general. And one of their biggest subsidiaries, Ant Financial, recently just got spun off for an IPO, and is literally the world's biggest IPO ever at a valuation of $34 billion. This is absolutely huge. And I could go on and on about all the other areas of the business, but I think that you guys get the point. And with November coming up, we have November 11th, which here in Canada is Remembrance Day, but over there in China is Alibaba's Single Day Sale. So in case you guys don't know what the Singles Day sale is, it's basically Alibaba's version of Amazon Prime Day. You can kind of think about it that way. And basically it's a holiday that Alibaba just kind of invented to have a really big sale. And I really do mean that the sale is absolutely huge. So you have things that are like 80% off or more, and people just go nuts over the Singles Day sale. And last year, Alibaba generated $38 billion in sales on Singles Day, and frankly, I wouldn't be surprised if they smashed that record again this year. And I know that obviously we had the Roni situation this year, but I think that actually might boost e-commerce because more people are staying home and trying to shop online instead of going out to the stores to avoid the crowds. And all of this I just told you, the stock is currently trading at a forward PE of only 26, which sounds super cheap considering Amazon's at like what, 50 forward PE. But then again, there's a reason why it might be a little cheaper than Amazon, and that's because indeed it is a Chinese stock, right? So obviously the trade war and rising tensions between the United States and China is going to put downwards pressure on Chinese stocks for sure. But this is also why it's on the list of Biden stocks, as many people expect Biden to be a little bit more friendly towards dealing with China and easing some of the tensions between China and the US if he was elected, rather than if Trump was to be re-elected. But all in all though, I do think that Alibaba will probably do kind of well no matter if who wins the election, right? But if Biden wins, they might do even better. So that's Alibaba. Now, last stock on the list, number 3 is ChargePoint, ticker symbol SBE. Now, this is one of those SPAC merger companies once again. So, in case you forgot what a SPAC merger is, it's basically a SPAC is a shell company that basically exists for the intention of taking a private company public, right? So, if you're a private company and you want to do an IPO, instead of maybe doing a direct listing or just going through the traditional IPO route, you can find what's called a SPAC, which is this shell company, and merge with the company and then just change the ticker symbol, and then your company's all of a sudden public, right? So this has been a really popular way to make your company public in the past few days. So we've seen big companies like, for example, Nikola and also Hyliion, which has both gone through the IPO process doing the SPAC IPO as opposed to a traditional IPO. So I actually made a video earlier explaining what SPAC mergers are, and you should check out that video in case you forgot. So I'm just going to make the assumption from now on that you've watched that video and you know the basics of how a SPAC merger works. So give that video a watch if you're confused, and then come back. But anyways, in this case though, ChargePoint is the company that is now private, that is being taken public. And Switchback Energy, SBE, is the SPAC that's taking them public. So anyways, what is ChargePoint though? So ChargePoint is the company that provides charging stations for electric vehicles, so they provide the infrastructure and the network that's needed for EVs. And we all know that Joe Biden and the Democrats in general are probably going to push hard for renewable energy if they get into office. And electric vehicles seems to be all the rage these days, right? So guys, please give me some credit for not just taking the easy way out and picking Tesla, because I could have easily picked Tesla and put Tesla on this list, right? And Tesla is somewhat on this list too, so maybe consider it a bonus fourth stock if you want to, but I didn't want to put Tesla on this list because I know if I did, every single one of you would comment down below and start slow clapping and be like,
well, surprise, surprise, you picked Tesla. What a shocking turn of events.
So yeah, give me some credit for picking an electric vehicle related company that is not Tesla or Hyliion for that matter. I actually try to pick something that most of you might not have heard of, right? So anyways, this is what a charging point station looks like, and the company has basically been around for a long time actually. So I think they were founded all the way back in 2007, and looking at this chart, it does look like they have a pretty strong presence already in Europe with over 100,000 charging point stations available. So now I do have to point out that this is not exactly the same as a Tesla supercharging station, okay? So if you look at the footnote on the bottom, these charging stations, they only charge for about 100 miles in 4 to 5 hours. So these are more for like if you want to park your car somewhere overnight and keep it plugged in overnight. So they do have faster charging ports, but obviously not all of the 100,000 ports that they mentioned are fast charging ports, right? So don't get overly excited about this, but what I can say is that what might be a little bit more exciting though is that the shift to electric vehicles is definitely going to happen for sure, right? So a company like a ChargePoint is basically going to benefit by default. So if you look at this chart right here, you can see that ChargePoint is claiming that their sales are proportional to the market penetration of electric vehicles, which makes sense. So if more people get into electric vehicles in the future, we'll naturally see that their sales numbers are going to go up with that number. However, a note of warning, according to their own projections, the company is not going to be profitable until 2024. And this is actually somewhat concerning to me, so it might be more of a speculative and risky bet compared to the other two stocks on this list, just because you're pretty much just going to have to trust the management of the company to execute their plans perfectly, and even if nothing goes wrong, you're still going to have to wait until 2024 before seeing the company make a profit, unless they beat their own expectations. However, with that being said, I do like the business idea itself, and I do think that the future is bright for electric vehicle related companies in general. So I just think that in the future, we're going to start to fundamentally shift our way that we think about energy companies. So for example, if you go back 50 years, the biggest companies in the world are basically the oil companies, right? So I'm talking about companies like ExxonMobil and Shell and BP and whatnot. But looking forward, I do believe that there's going to be a fundamental shift away from oil, and pretty soon we're going to be looking at charging stations the same way we look at gas station right now, right? So you're going to be thinking, oh, I'm going to go to the local charging station, the convenience store besides the charging station, to get a snack, as opposed to I'm going to go to the gas station convenience store to grab a snack, right? So I'm talking about like actually changing our vernacular and changing our language to like shift away from gas stations and in favor of charging stations. I do think that that is going to happen very soon. And if Biden wins, I think that that shift is going to happen a lot faster, which is why that this stock is on the list. Anyways, those are my 3 picks for the Biden stocks. And let me know what you guys think about these stocks down in the comments down below. Be sure to give this video a like if you haven't already, and consider subscribing if you're not subscribed already. And be sure to follow me on Twitter and Instagram, links down below for those as well. So I'll leave the video here for today, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.